It sucks 'cause I really like tea now. You know, like dip in the bag and everything.
Just black tea?
Uh,
Throw some sweetener in there or what?
I take chamomile, however you pronounce
Chamomile?
it. Chamomile tea before bed. I just got some decaf green tea.
Nice.
And yeah, just have it with a little bit of honey. It's really good.
You ever try Lipton? Yeah, I'm not drinking that. It's time for our top 10 episodes of Star Trek TNG Season 5. How hard was it putting together your list this time?
I thought it was going to be, like I said in the discussion, I thought it was going to be super easy, where it's 4 or 5 on the top, the rest I'll just fill in. But as I'm filling in the last 5, like the first 4 are pretty easy, but as I'm filling in the last 5, I'm like, I don't know. And even when I was coming here, I was like rearranging some and like sitting in my car, like, oh shit, I don't know. But I'm like, okay, this is it, final. And I'm trying to remember my letter grades. So like, letter grades don't matter. I've changed letter grades. I mean, they matter, but I've changed letter grades after thinking about it. So don't go back and, well, you gave this episode a B, but now you're putting it above one you gave an A or an S. It's like, just after sitting with it with a bit and thinking about it more and comparing it to others, it's my list. It's probably going to change while we're talking about it or once we're done. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely, my list definitely has, the grades aren't exactly lined up. Absolutely. So that's how it always is. And yeah. For me, I had said during the season, like, oh, this is definitely a lock. This will definitely be on my list. For me, it wasn't a matter of which episodes were going to be on my list, but it was ordering them. Because there's some razor-thin margins, especially towards the top, and we'll get to that. Do you want to go first? You want to do snake order? What are we doing?
Yeah, snake. Yeah, you go first.
Okay, we can do. I'll go first, and then we can do patrons in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 10, probably the 2 hardest parts of your list to make is the top, like number 1, number 2, and then what gets cut off and what makes that number 10 for me.
That was really hard today.
So we'll get to honorable mentions later, but my number 10 was unification.
I'm looking for Ambassador Spock.
You have found him.
Captain Picard.
The 2-parter, and you did. I don't know if it's on your list, but I just did it as the 2-parter.
Okay.
Unification. This is one that, on the surface, it seems like, oh, did you even like this episode? Like, you have so many complaints about it. But the thing is, it's fucking Spock in The Next Generation, and he has moments with Data and moments with Picard. Like, of course I love it. Of course it's great. Yeah, I have issues with it. It's a 2-parter, and part 1's boring, and I wish they could do something different. Would love to see Spock on the bridge. I liked the Sela stuff a lot more than apparently major consensus. I think you enjoyed it too, right?
Yeah.
So I even liked all that stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed Unification. Just made my list.
Okay.
And then the patrons number 10, and for anyone who's not aware, our target demographic tier patrons and higher get to submit their own top 10 lists, and they all get weighted. Their number 1's getting 10 points, their number 10's getting 1 point, and so on, and it makes the full list. So thank you to everyone who submitted your lists. We got a lot of them. And their number 10 was Conundrum. Now, that was actually surprising to me because I felt like Conundrum was one that they were higher on than us when we posted it on Patreon. But that just made their list at number 10.
Oh, okay. Are they going to explain why?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Bring out the pitchforks because my number 10 is Cause and Effect.
Wow.
All hands abandon ship! Repeat! All hands abandon!
Yeah, maybe it's a victim of me already knowing the story. Because once I saw the opening and the Enterprise blew up, I'm like, oh, this is the time loop episode. Maybe that detrimented it a little bit to where I had much better reactions to stuff where I had no idea what's going on. But overall, as an episode, I do heavily enjoy it very much. Small critiques at the end. I love Beverly being the main person who kind of puts this together. But overall, in terms of everything else, just...
Yeah, and real quick, we joke about this, but, this is our top 10 list. We like all these episodes. They're on our top 10 list.
10 out of what, 26?
Yeah, so if you want to, piss and moan that it's a number 10 and not number 4 or whatever, like, go outside. It's our top 10 list. We like all these episodes.
All right, and my number 9 is The Next Phase.
Well, we're solid enough to each other.
Ro and Geordi in this other, not other dimension, but basically they're in this phase dimension type thing where they're cloaked, and then they have that whole thing with the other Romulan. all that stuff was a lot of super fun and great, and it was just it was just weird seeing those two be the main through lines of this episode. I'm glad they took that chance. Whereas Michelle Forbes, who's there 5 times out of the season, and Jordy, it's like, oh, this is an interesting idea.
Yeah, 100%. Patrons are up next with their number 9, and they also had the next phase.
Oh, I'm always on par with the patrons. Maybe not with cause and effect, but
Hit and miss.
hit and miss.
You're definitely more in line with them than I am for whatever reason. They've had that as their number 9, and then my number 9. The next phase.
What?
Row!
I'm detecting a chromaton field in your radio.
I really enjoyed the next phase as well. Just a fun episode, and the Romulan reveal when we're like, "What's going on with that guy?" He's just sitting there, and then he stands up and walks through the thing. Oh, that's the perfect way to do a reveal.
Oh, it was great because even while I was sitting there watching it in my mind, I'm like, "What's up with this guy? Why is he listening? Like, what is he doing?" And yeah, great reveal.
And just all the stuff. Jordy and Roe, what a great pair. They've never done anything together, and to go through this, we get to amazing, fantasy example of flying the wall after you die. What do people think about you, talk about you?
Yes.
Plan your funeral.
The funeral happening when they come into phase for a second, and Picard's just looking at him. And Data's like, "Did you see that?"
Yeah, and thank God Data was standing there because it was just Picard. He would have ignored it. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Just minor complaints with them not really mourning Geordi.
Yeah.
but it was a great episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your number 8.
My number 8 is the next phase. No. No. Disaster is my number 8.
Okay.
Great episode. Love everything about it. One of those where I really have no complaints. I just didn't care for the Geordi Beverly storyline, and that's the risk of doing an episode with so many small plots. The A plot here is the disaster, is the ship is down. That's the main plot. But just jumping between so many characters having different POVs, you're bound to have some weaker ones. And that really just when it got to Geordi and Beverly, I didn't care at all. So that's what kind of, again, we're talking about razor thin margins here. That's what takes it down the list for me, but this was a solid, I knew it was going to be in my top 10.
Okay.
The Patrons number 8. Disaster!
What?
This is getting weird,
No
actually.
fucking way.
I actually hadn't looked at the Patrons versus mine yet. I hadn't compared them yet, so this is actually really funny. They put Disaster as well. What's your number 8?
Wow, that's amazing. My number 8 is The First Duty.
Okay, if you had said Disaster, that would have been really weird. Okay, go on.
Would have been hilarious.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth.
Yeah, The First Duty was absolutely wonderful. Seeing the Starfleet Academy, we basically got an episode. We also manifested what's Wesley doing at the Academy. A little bit different, dealing with this young kid, Nick Locarno or whatever, and this seeds of a young cocky captain, but he's manipulating his friends here and then trying to figure out what happened, and Picard's great speech. Boothby was a total highlight for me, and it was a lot of fun.
Boothby, absolutely.
Boothby.
And then your number 7?
My number 7. My number 7 is Unification 2. Not 1.
Do you find you have missed your humanity?
I have no regrets.
That is a human expression.
Fascinating.
Spock in The Next Generation is so great, and seeing Spock and Picard and scenes with Data, with Sela, it was just it was fan service to the most extreme. Now I wish that Picard was having his scenes with Spock not dressed as a Romulan.
Yeah.
It would have hit a bit harder. Spock mentioning Kirk, I knew it was stubborn cat, total fan service line, but I love it to death. The ending, when I love the whole thing that Sarek and Spock never, melded together ever, so they never expressed their emotions to each other, but now they've been able to express how they felt to each other through Picard. It's just warms my heart.
Yeah, I just had this thought. What if, you brought up the Romulan stuff, if we did get him on the bridge, talk about fan service, you can't wear this Romulan stuff. He gets into a TNG blue uniform or whatever color uniform would make sense for him. That would have been crazy.
Oh yeah, if this elevator shit, turbo lift door opens, he's facing the wrong way, or he's facing to the side, and just he's got that blue on. It's like, whoo!
Yeah, the fan service makes me feel like he should be wearing blue. but knowing that that's not how they use it, he'd probably be in red, would be my guess, with Riker and
Probably.
Picard.
Yeah. Or, Captain Bateman or Kelsey Grammer left this uniform for you. And he looks at it like, this is ugly.
Yeah, thank you. I thought you were going to say he wears one of the movie uniforms.
No.
We've seen enough.
No, I've seen enough of that ugly yellow shit.
All right, the patrons. That was your number 7, right?
Yeah.
The patrons' number 7 is unification. You agree with them there? I counted this as one vote, so whatever, for people that did put both of them on there, whatever the higher one was, I gave it the points for that. And yeah, I think number 7 is a fair spot. That's where you had number 2 a little bit higher than me, but I think that totally makes sense. I'm glad that it's not overblown as like a top 3 episode or anything, because let's be honest, as an episode, it's pretty mid. It's the fan service in there that really.
If Spock was not in this episode, it would
be bad.
It would be bad. Yeah.
Let's be real. All right.
Is it your number?
Maybe my number 7.
Yeah, your number 7.
This is one in the minority, but that's okay. The Masterpiece Society. This broke my streak of not giving out S's since Redemption 2.
It was the wish of our founders that no one have to suffer a life with disabilities.
Who gave them the right to decide whether or not I should be here?
Yeah, I really like the story. Troy goes down to this planet. They're in this dome. They don't want to leave. Some of the society starts to want to leave. Picard at the end questioning, did we actually do more harm than good? Because they were going to get, I think, hit by an asteroid or something like that. And did we end up actually doing more harm than good? Because now their society has seen us and they want to leave. Also, Troy getting to be the one to have a romance on the planet, not Riker. And great stuff from Marina Sirtis here again. Winrick Colby was the director. Great direction here. So yeah, not my favorite episode, but the reason I gave it that S and the reason I liked it so much is that it was the proof for me of it's okay for Star Trek to be boring. It doesn't have to be the TOS ship's going to explode. It's just a episode where everyone talks a lot, and that's okay.
There's good episodes with ethics. I love those episodes where it ends with that question, where it's not a sure enough answer, where it lets the audience think on it with our crew, and then it ends. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Great episode. Yeah.
And then my number 6 is The First Duty. All the stuff you just said. I also gave this episode an S when we first watched it, and I love it. Great, the best Wesley episode in the series. Also great stuff from Picard, Boothby, even the Beverly moments we get here, which aren't a lot. A courtroom setting in the academy. Loved all of it. Mm-hmm. And then number 6 for the patrons, The First Duty.
Get out of here.
We're on the same page for a lot of this.
Okay.
First Duty was their number 6, and your number 6?
All right. So don't be mad at me, but it wouldn't be an Alex list if there wasn't a tie.
Okay.
I have a tie. Don't get mad. But it's Disaster and Conundrum.
Push! Push! Push!
I am pushing!
Maybe it's emerging head first.
I feel like they're both very similar in their, things go wrong on the Enterprise where I just couldn't pick. And I wanted the ones before this on the list, I wanted those on there. And I already felt like I was shaving off enough, but these 2 episodes I love so much. Disaster, we've already spoken about really, but I love just how everyone is so competent on the ship and there's no communication, but they're all doing so well and figuring out what's wrong in such a unique way. Even Worf delivering, it's situations that would never happen. Worf has to deliver this baby. Fucking hilarious. The counselor, being the number 1 in charge, having just Troy, the chief, and Ensign Rowe. What a fucking combination of characters to have it's amazing. Like even Beverly and Geordi, it's not my favorite stuff. You run the risk of having one story you're not going to care about when you have 5 different ones going on. Picard and the kids. I fucking love Picard and the kids, especially Picard who doesn't like children, and then him having that nice moment with the kids at the end and the wink at the end to the girl when he said something number 1 and they both say yes sir. It's like, oh, love that episode. And Conundrum. I love the whole memory loss idea. I love how people just assuming who they are. And Worf thinks he's the captain, and Picard's he becomes the virtuous ensign at first, and then things are revealed later on. Didn't care for the villain, whatever. But
yeah, I was gonna say. So Conundrum's not on my list, and I was surprised for you to say it was on your list because I felt like watching it, you actually had much more of an issue than me with the whole villain aspect and what was going on.
Once I was able to be like, okay, it's not supposed to be a mystery. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious he's the villain, and the reveal is whatever. I just feel like they're both very similar in problem.
Yeah.
And after thinking about it, I do really like it. So
I love, probably my favorite moment of Conundrum is when it first happens, when they lose their memory and just the handy cam around the bridge and everyone just like looking around. I just recently rewatched basically this episode because I went over the edit for YouTube, and by far my favorite thing is the Riker, Ensign Rowe, Troy storyline of him hooking up with Rowe, Troy being jealous, getting their memory back, and they all remember it. This is also, I think, the last time we see Ensign Rowe until the next phase. So, yeah, that was the highlight for me. The actual guest character and what's going on and why this is happening, don't really care. But just the memory loss aspect. Again, this is one where it's funny because a lot of our audience will sometimes be like, oh, you guys hate fun. Captain's Holiday, Cupid, you hate fun. It's like, no, those episodes are just bad. I love fun. And a lot of these episodes, like this one, I wish it was just more leaned into the fun. Like the
Yes.
stuff with Riker, Captain Worf, like all that stuff. But I understand this is a serious situation. Like they have to deal with it seriously. But my favorite stuff in the episode was the fun stuff.
that's one of those examples where it's just an idea. What if the crew all lost their memories? That's it. That's the idea. Go. I
Yep.
love that. It's not a whole. It's not this whole through line. It's just one idea. Snap. Go. Love it.
And then, okay, so what's your number 5? Getting into the top 5?
Top 5. This might be a little controversial. My number 5 of season 5 is the bonding. No, it's I thought about doing that as number 1 again, but I'm like, no, it's even funnier as 5. No, number 5 is the inner light.
Live now. Make now always the most precious time. Now will never come again.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I love this episode. It's chilling, haunting. I love the idea that Picard has to deal with this for the rest of his life, and that haunting ending where he plays the flute, and that's how serious it was all taken. Picard's just been through the ringer this episode, and once I had a great reaction on camera when I realized like what was going on. It's like, oh, I get it, and I love that whole ending of the species where it's like we're not going to live, but at least we're going to send something out, and Picard, and they landed on the right guy, being Jean-Luc Picard.
The patron number 5, Iborg. Neither of us have said the one yet, so I'll just leave that for what it is, but that is their number 5. And my number 5 is also Inner Light.
Okay. All right, you and I are usually not. Usually, it's one of us with the patrons, or
Yeah, pretty opposite.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the thing with the Inner Light, it's an amazing episode, and I will admit that I was falling a victim a little bit to my expectations because this was the one episode I knew about by title before starting the show. Didn't know anything that happened in the episode, but seeing that title come up and going, oh, okay, here we go. Like, what is this? And not to say that like I was disappointed in it. It was just that, when you have that moment of, oh man, like what are we gonna get? I was almost perplexed by it. Like I was almost like, yeah, this episode is clearly good. Like I gave it an A. Like this is obviously a really good episode, but I didn't know what to like think about it. And I think the reason for that is because it's such a different episode than anything we've ever gotten. And I praise that all the time. I love different episodes. But this was more than any other episode thus far in the series. This was Patrick Stewart's episode. It's like the guy is an amazing actor, whether he's Picard or what's his name in this? He plays like another. I don't know, but
Cayman?
Yeah, whether it's Picard or Kamen, let him do his thing. Do I wish we had more time? Of course. Do I wish it was more fleshed out in this 30 plus years of life? Of course. Do I think it's kind of weird that now the next episode he's just Picard again and I'm supposed to forget about it? Yes. But all that being said, I do think this is one of the best episodes of the series. And I was going to say this actually, in this top 5 here, these are all, I gave Redemption 2 a perfect S. I think these are all basically perfect episodes. And the difference in them just comes down to like my personal preference on the little things. I don't think there's big mistakes or anything in any of them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my number 5. And then my number 4, this is probably our biggest difference. My number 4 is actually Cause and Effect.
A queen. You're going to give me a queen.
I really
Okay.
loved Cause and Effect. I did have my issue with the ending, but I think that was really a first watch type thing. Same thing with Yesterday's Enterprise, where it was so like, oh, I guess that's it. Because, you don't know how it's going to end. So you're watching it like excited to see how they're going to figure it out. And then he looks at the pips and everything, and it's like, oh, we're at the end of the episode. Okay. Getting past that first time watch jarring experience and watching it a second time, Jonathan Frakes, dude. What a director. I mean, he directed this thing and accented, obviously. I mean, flawlessly. The repetitive poker scenes with the little differences in each scene. Obviously, the camera angles and everything. The focus on Beverly in her room with the glass. Her conversation with Picard. I mean, yeah, amazing episode. One of my favorites for sure. Number 4 for the patrons. My favorite episode. Darmok is their number 4.
Okay.
This is where, obviously, my biggest disagreement with the fan base. Not in the fact, I don't even think it's a bad episode. It's just not for me. I just wasn't invested. I get it. But it's that I was invested, but that was their number 4. What's your
Okay.
number 4?
My number 4 is ethics.
Wow, okay.
There is also a conventional therapy that could restore much of his mobility.
But not all of it.
No, not all of it. There are some things I can't fix.
Yeah, I absolutely loved ethics. I loved the whole idea of Worf wanting to, commit suicide. Picard, wanting to be with the culture. Riker getting so mad at them. Beverly being upset. And this other doctor character comes aboard, and Beverly has these great scenes with this other doctor. Worf and his kid, Troy. It's all great. And biting on the falsity of Worf dying, thinking, oh my God, are they going to do a part 2? Oh, he's alive. What a roller coaster. And just Worf as a father, being a good father figure and everything. Worf dealing with this whole, Klingon mentality, and, his friends are bringing him out of it.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you thought, oh, we're going to do part 2. I thought he was dying. I thought he legit, I've never been more bought in that a character was going to die.
You thought he was like dead?
I thought he was dead. I'm like, wow. When Beverly comes out of that room and Alexander and Troy are sitting there and she's like tearing up and goes to explain to Alexander, that was the moment for me because we saw him die in the previous scene.
Yeah.
And usually it's like, okay, the scene's over, and then she walks out the door. It's like he's dead, And I'm thinking to myself, all the thoughts started going in my head, like what happened, like behind the scenes, what happened, all these things, like did he have to go shoot a movie? What's going on? And thank God he did not. But that's where the credit to the show has to go to the unfortunate, Tasha Yar death because she wanted to leave, but the Tasha Yar death, the different things we've seen in this show of not only killing off characters, but making it believable that they will die, to where this was the first time I was fully bought in on a falsy. To where, because obviously I believe Spock was dying when he died, and then he did die, But here there was a falsy, and I bid on it, so I'm the mark, and it got me.
We're getting the number 3 now, aren't
Top 3.
we? Top 3. My number 3 is Darmok.
Wow.
Yeah.
With fist open. Sugat! His eyes uncovered!
I know you don't enjoy this episode as much, but I love this episode because I was in the boat with Picard trying to figure this out. And once I figured out with Picard what's going on, I'm like, oh, I get it. And I love how Picard's the guy who basically prevented this all-out war with this species that we can't communicate with. In that moment where he's explaining that story to dying Darmok right there, and about the two people who came together. I forget what the story was. And then, the guy dies, and then he has to go and explain to the Darmok people what's going on, everything down there on the ship, on the planet, them fighting. It's just a slow burn through all of it. It was basically just one story. Yeah, I loved it, and how important communication is, and yeah.
Yeah, look, as you know, since I didn't like it, that means you didn't either. So everyone will still act as if you didn't. But it's your number 3 of the season. You didn't like it. Yeah, that's just my cross to die on, or what do they call it? My hill to die on, I guess. But again, it's annoying that I have to fight this battle of I don't care about the episode. Not if I hated the episode, I would relish. I would relish being like, no, this episode's bad. But the fact that I wish I cared about it, and I even rewatched it, and I just am bored during it. And it's not that I don't get it because I'm stupid. I am stupid, but that's not the reason in this one. It's because I just I get what they're doing, and I'm like, yeah, that's a nice story. I think that's my reaction. So not to at all take away from you or the millions of people who really love it. But yeah. That was your number 3, right?
Yeah.
Number 3 for the patrons, Redemption 2.
Whoa, that's a little low.
Yeah, wait a minute. That was their number 3. I'm glad it was on there. I mean, I didn't think it wouldn't be on their list, but I felt we were really enthusiastic, and I didn't feel it as much from them at the time. But I'm glad it was that high up on their list. So I already talked about the top 5 being all perfect episodes. This top 3 for me, these 3 episodes, some of my favorite. I could even probably say, I mean, they're definitely all 3 are probably top 10 for the show thus far. But I went back and looked at season 4. All 3 of these episodes would be top 5 at least
Okay.
in season 4.
Okay.
That's how like much I separate these 3 from the rest. Number 3, you already talked about this one, ethics.
We will work together.
Yes, sir.
I loved ethics. I gave it, I think, a triple S when we watched it, or maybe I did just give it an S. I don't remember, but I definitely gave it an S. I already talked about how I bit on the falsy. Jonathan Frakes, his best scene as Riker in this, giving Worf the dagger back and telling him that he has to use Alexander. Great use of Alexander here. You know, if he hadn't have been brought back in his mid episode, he couldn't have been used here. So that was great. The bonding stuff with Worf and Troy, asking her to be the godmother of Alexander. I mean, all of it was amazing. And then, of course, Dr. Crusher. It's her one highlight episode, so I love it for that. And I liked the story with the other doctor and the opposing views, but she wasn't ridiculous or menacing or it was just a nice little doctor feud,
Yeah.
Really good stuff. Love that episode. I'll watch that a million times in a row. My number 2, this is where it gets really dicey because it's these top 2, but actually, the whole top 3, to be honest, could go in any order probably. But for today, my number 2, I didn't think it could be taken down, but it did. My number 2 is Redemption 2.
What?
It's the Klingon way.
I know. But it is not my way.
I gave it a perfect S. I stand by it. I have nothing obviously negative to say about it. Love this episode. I really can't say much about why it's not my number 1 until I talk about number 1. So I'll leave it at that for now. I'm sure you'll probably bring it up, so we'll talk about it, but that's my number 2. The Patrons, number 2. Cause and effect. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense.
Is it number 2 on IMDb? Okay, we're doing too much. All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Iborg.
I will not.
Aye, but you are Borg.
No, I am Hugh.
I fucking love Iborg. This episode was a roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster of thoughts, experiences, viewpoints, characters, to where at the end I was 100% completely moved by this performance, by this character, and how all of our characters felt about this character, and made me look inside myself and go, wow, I went on that journey with Picard. Similar to the journey I went with him on Darmok, but it felt even heavier here with Hugh, and it was just completely stellar. I love everything about it. Maybe pretty emotional. Yeah.
All right, before you get to your number 1, let's do some honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, okay.
So I'll do mine first. My honorable mentions, I really wanted to get Ensign Rowe on the list. It introduces one of my new favorite characters, and great introduction too. The problem with it, as far as making the list, was A, it just got pushed out by so many good episodes, and B, it's not that great of an episode. Like, that's how strong Ensign Rowe is. They're like, introducing her here makes it such a great, memorable one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the episode itself was like, okay, yeah, this is good. Like, it's some the parallel of war and colonization and all those things. It was all right, but the episode itself wasn't as strong as I felt these other ones on the list. Really wanted to get that on there though. And then my other 2 were Power Play and Conundrum. They were back to back. I liked them both. Thought they were both bangers, but they just weren't that next level for me.
Okay.
What about you?
My honorable mentions, Hero Worship. That was on the list, and it was on it, it was off it, it was on it, it was off it. And I really enjoy it, but not on the list. Ensign Rowe, of course. And one that's on your list, Masterpiece Society. Those 3 are both like teetering, pushing up on the wall of 11 or break the wall of 10. Like,
Yeah.
They're all right there.
Yeah, got to give it up for Hero Worship. My favorite part.
It's a great part. I don't know. I just love the idea of this kid thinking it's his fault. It's not his fault. He latches on to a hero, and it's Data, of all people. And Data having another human relationship with this kid. It's great.
For the patrons, they had 3 episodes also that were higher up on the list than most of the other episodes, but didn't make it. The closest one was also Ensign Rowe, so they agreed with us there. They really liked Ensign Rowe, didn't make it. And keep in mind, these are all ones that got points, so these were all on a lot of top 10 lists. They just didn't make it overall. Ethics also had a lot of votes, but didn't quite make it. All of these were just a few points off the list.
Okay.
And then Time's Arrow. I also like to do little fun facts with putting this list together about the episodes and how many points they got. So the only episodes that got no points whatsoever, were not on anybody's lists, were Violations, Imaginary Friend, and Cost of Living. Can't say there's any huge surprises there.
Okay.
And then only one episode got one single vote in 10th place, and that was New Ground, the Alexander reintroduction episode.
Okay.
Probably the most surprising to me as I look through it, Power Play only got 32 overall points, so was not on a ton of lists. I like that episode quite a bit. I would like that a bit more than that. But yeah, that was the main honorable mentions for them. Okay, are you ready to reveal your number one?
My number one is once again the Bond.
Come on.
I said I wasn't going to do it, and then I do it. That's the joke. No, it's Redemption 2. I've never had a visceral reaction to that, to where I was literally almost crying, tearing up.
My father offered her life. He gave her a home. He gave her a child. And how did she repay him? By betrayal.
Captain Data. It's absolutely fantastic seeing him just, run house in this situation. Yeah, the whole episode was just a roller coaster of fun, emotion, and this whole story with Worf ending on the scene. Worf, having his honor back and all. I can talk about this episode all day.
Yeah, I really loved it as well. So can't disagree with you. So much about this. I mean, we talked about, obviously, in the discussion, we had quite a long discussion, but, the dropping of it, not my way, just so great. And it was great because this is the detriment of watching it now where everyone else has seen what's to come. But like when we watched part 1, we had issues about it, and they were directly addressed and fixed in part 2. So if we had watched them back to back, it'd have been like, oh, amazing 2-parter. But we didn't know that just watching part 1. Part 1 was still a good episode though, but part 2 was it was one of those from opening to end, just hot the entire time, just great. And Sela was also a big part of this episode.
She was, yeah.
Was she introduced? Yeah, she was the cliffhanger of part 1 at the end. And then she had her whole explanation of Tasha's daughter. Very impressive for a first episode of the season premiere, to be your number 1. I mean, my number 2, that's still impressive, but to be, on top the whole time, it doesn't age poorly, it doesn't, get replaced. Like, I think it's the first time that's ever happened for sure.
I mean, it's one of those where I knew. It's like, yes, that's my favorite. And watching everything else, they're all playing for second place. Iborg came close. Yeah, my number 3 was Darmok, right? Yeah, Iborg came close. That's it. Nothing else.
So those two are what really were separated.
Yeah, those two were.
For me, I think it was like my top 3. I would put Ethics in there as well. But
what's their number 1?
The Patrons' number 1. The number 1's the Inner Light. Yes, I read your guys' number 1 this time. I apologize. So I didn't last season. It's the Inner Light. And yeah, I think that's the reason that, I even knew about this episode before ever watching Star Trek. It's one of those cultural things. And it's been we both had it at number 5, right? So we both really liked it. I don't think it's that shocking that the Patrons' number 1 is our number 5. It tends to jive with how it typically goes.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we didn't hate it. Not from the audience or backlash side. I don't care about that. But I want to like the episode that is supposedly really good, because I mean, I love Star Trek. So, yeah, I'm glad I liked it. Didn't like it that much. I will say that Cause and Effect and Inner Light, that was their top 2. And they are way separated from everything else. Almost 100 points away from Redemption 2 at number 3. So they were, almost everyone's number 1 was either Inner Light or Cause and Effect, and then vice versa. You would have the occasional someone has the Outcast as their number 1 or something, the occasional random. But that was for the most part. And, I get it. It makes sense. All right, my number 1, it's just the flip side of yours. My number 1 is Iborg.
I figured, yeah.
Because I wouldn't have anything to say. Then why don't you just listen? That is what you do best, isn't it?
I talked about I couldn't talk about why Redemption 2 is my number 2. So what I meant by that was The only thing with Redemption 2, when I was like thinking about this, because I love them pretty much equally, but for different reasons. And with the Redemption 2, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it was kind of this payoff to like this huge built-up stuff with Worf. Like you can't just jump in and have Redemption 2. It wouldn't make any sense. That is the benefit of the serialized nature of TNG. Even though it's not a serialized show, the serialized nature brought us to Redemption 2, and the show like hasn't really, at least in season 5, been able to like regather that magic of that through line. Like they kind of blew their load in a good way, in a great way.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take away from the episode at all. But just for me personally, Iborg is like not only a perfect episode of TV, but it's just everything I want TNG to be. I called Remember Me my favorite Star Trek thing ever last season. This is fucking close. Like I'm not ready to just say that it is my favorite, but Remember Me I have so much fun with, and it's like a great one-off. Iborg is kind of a one-off, but I mean it works because Guinan's history, the Borg, so it works in that way. But just how it's so deep, like thematically, and I mean the different perspectives we had watching it, where I was much more on Beverly's side and you were on Picard's side, and then it switches throughout the episode, and seeing every character one by one interact with Hugh. Great performance, by the way, and everything about it. The ending, how you don't know. He just looks at Geordi for a second, and then beams away. I hope we never hear from Hugh again. Maybe we do, it's the next chapter of the Borg lore. I don't know. But it would be amazing if we just never hear from him again. You just have to wonder what happened to Hugh. He changed what they thought on the Enterprise, and it was just, that's why I love TNG. I feel like this type of episode, I love TOS to death. I don't think TOS could give it to us. TOS could have given us Remember Me, if you get what I mean. Like in like a weird concept one-off type thing, and that's why I love that episode, kind of Twilight Zone-esque. But this episode is like, yeah, that's what put it at number 1 for me.
Yeah, this is Star Trek. When I think of Iborg, I think this is what Star Trek's supposed to be. This is exactly. You're not going to get this out of Star Wars. You're not going to get this out of anywhere else. This story is like so unique and special, and just it broke new ground. It's just an episode where it just hits you so hard on the inside, where it's like you just rethink of everything you've ever thought of or believed in as a human being, as a person, and just like, am I real right now? Like, how does this exist with? How is this in the same season, where it's these same people, or some of the same people, did an episode like Imaginary Friend
Right before it.
Right before it. Yeah, it's like, how does that happen? Where it's like lightning in a bottle. It's like I've seen your potential, Star Trek. I've seen what you can do.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's really hard. Making things is really hard, but god damn it, when it's good, it's fucking amazing.
I've never seen this before in anything I've watched. So it's like, that's why I seem cynical, or that's why I seem hard to please on these other episodes. It's because this franchise is so fucking good. So blame this show,
It's because of this show and how good it is. Is why I'm so upset at it when it's not. Don't blame me. I'm not judging it based off other things. I'm basing it off it.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't sit here and be like, oh man, and pretend that, the cost of living is just as good as Iborg. It's like, it's not that good, It's like, So, anyway, to end this on a positive note, amazing. Both of our number 1s and number 2s, which are just flipped, are amazing. Ethics, so many great episodes this season. So while in my opinion it didn't beat season 4 in the plethora of bangers or S tiers, I think the tier list we do will be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But overall, at first I'm like, oh, I don't think I like this as much as season 4, but I now think of season 4 and season 5 as completely different types of entities. Basically, what we explained with the Golden State Warriors and the Cavs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So the big 3: LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. For me, it's Redemption 2, Darmok, and Iborg. So.
Dude, yeah. Fucking Redemption 2 in that analogy. Redemption 2 is Kyrie's game-winning 3. And then Iborg is LeBron's block. Blocked by James! Next time we do one of these, we're going to be doing 2. Season 6 of TNG and Season 1 of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
The seasons end at the same time. So
do they really?
Yeah, in 4 or 5 months, whatever.
Oh,
remember,
wow.
Alex, all TV used to start in September and end in May. That's how it was. So moving forward, we'll be doing these, and, we'll figure out how exactly to do it, but it's going to be interesting.
We'll do like a double snake where it's like, I don't know, Number 10 of season 6 TNG of TNG. Number 10 of season 1. Yeah, it's gonna get.
I
Really...
don't think I can. I don't think I can handle it. Me making the patron list.